Experiment in helping new students at the university to acquaint themselves with the facilities and services available to them. To our knowledge, no other Australian university library has attempted this approach to the problem of providing a quick but authoritative survey of the resources and workings of the library as they affect student readers. Indeed, we believe that few such attempts have been made anywhere, and know for certain only of one forerunner, the Library of the University of Southern Illinois. We believe that despite the handicaps of short notice, limited finance, very little equipment, and no prior technical experience, the film will be of considerable assistance. We're aware of the shortcomings of some sequences and ask you to view these for the intention rather than the execution.
Is an introduction to the library. It tries to show you how to find your way about and to give you an idea of what you have to do when you want to borrow or consult a book. It's a lot more difficult to make the best use of a large library than you may think, and this film can be only an introduction. You need also to study the printed student's guide, and it will pay you to attempt the library questionnaire. Above all, you should not hesitate to ask the assistance of the staff at the issue desk and at the reference desk.
The library is located centrally within the campus. To the west is the Department of Physics, beyond which you can see the Faculty of Engineering. Immediately south on the far side of Riley Oval is the Chemistry Department. Over near Crawley Bay is the Faculty of Education. And on the east of the library is the Arts Building. The library forms the southern side of the Great Court, and access is by way of the promenade that traverses the length of the building at first floor level. Let's follow the fortunes of one or two students through their introduction to work in the university. From Stirling Highway, this student enters the campus at Whitfield Court, flanked by the Gilbilmont and dominated by Winthrop Hall and its tower. The Saw Promenade runs along the eastern side of the Great Court to the Arts Building and the library. Our newcomer is on his way to an interview with a member of the teaching staff. At such an interview or at a tutorial, you may be advised on details of your course. You may have some problem that is proving difficult, or you may have written work to be discussed. On such occasions, you are likely to be advised to refer to various books or articles. For these, you will need to use the library. Here our student climbs the stairs to the library bridge. For many courses, you will be given a reading list. Here's another student with such a list going to the library. And at other times, you'll be given references during lectures, which will again direct your footsteps to the library door. There's only one entrance and exit to the library. Once inside the library building, there's a choice of turnstiles to the left or right, giving access to the reading area and book stack. While our puzzled freshman is making up his mind which gate to try, we may as well observe this young lady as she returns some book she's been borrowing. Notice that she looks at the number written on the spine of each book and then puts the book in the corresponding slot. These numbers stand for the major divisions of the Dewey Decimal Classification, by which the books are arranged in classes according to subject. Meanwhile, this young man has come to a decision. He's going to use the reading collection. This regulation is strictly enforced to prevent books from being irregularly removed from the library and to avoid the inconvenience of having to search bags which would otherwise be necessary. In any large library, it's unfortunately true that the interests of the majority have to be protected by such rules. All bags must be left outside the library, and on or under the benches they're adequately protected from the weather. The reading collection contains a selection of books based upon recommended reading lists that will support undergraduate courses of study. Because of the resultant heavy demand, these works may not be borrowed during the week. This part of the library is divided between 3 floors. On the second floor, books in the social sciences. On the first or entrance floor, the humanities. And on the ground floor, the natural sciences. On the end panel of each stack, you'll find guides to the precise subjects of the books on those shelves. Until some experience in using the library has been gained, it's not always a simple matter to find the book required. There may be many books at one class number. They may have similar titles or be by the same author. And hit and miss searching on the shelves is not the best way to find a specific volume. Failure to find a book could be due to one of many causes. When in real doubt, it's always possible to seek the assistance of the library staff at the issue desk. They will be able to advise you, or if necessary, will show you how to find what you need to know. Here, the assistant checks the correct shelf and agrees that the book is not there. No doubt it's already in use. But there may be alternatives to the recommended title, and the staff may be able to make useful suggestions. In many cases, what is sought is information that may be discoverable from one of a number of books. All these economics textbooks are relevant to the same course. By consulting the contents or indexes of such volumes, you'll probably be able to complete your assignment satisfactorily. Although the books in the reading collection may not be borrowed during the week, they are available on loan over the weekend. 2 volumes may be reserved at any time during the week by filling in a card at the inquiry desk. The books may then be collected on a Saturday morning and must be returned the following Monday by full-time students before 10 a.m. or by part-time students before 6 p.m. The exit from the reading collection is controlled, and you must show any of your own or general collection books to the assistant for checking. Directly in front of the entry to the general collection is the catalogue. This student has been given references to several books. Her first problem is to discover where they are kept in the library, and this information is contained in the catalogue. The main entry in the catalogue is usually under an author's name. This student is looking for a book by Elton, but there are several Eltons: Charles, Godfrey, Geoffrey, Lewis, Oliver, P.M. William. She has a title too, but perhaps she missed it first time through. She looks again. Until familiarity breeds some understanding, the catalogue can certainly be confusing at times. But the lucky dip approach is unlikely to succeed in finding the wanted book. If you reach this condition, the time has come to seek expert help. Ask the assistants at the reference desk. The reference desk assistants will either explain your difficulty away or will help you to search the catalogue again. Here is the elusive entry. Always note down the class number or other details of the location of additional copies. On the card there's printed the author, the title, place of publication, publisher, date, the location and class number, details about additional copies in the reading collection. But not all references are as simple as that one. Here are a few examples of other ways in which books may be described in the catalogue. This book has two authors, Baines and Moss. Cards are to be found under both names. Another copy also exists in the general collection. This book has more than 3 authors, and in such cases it's entered by the first named only, followed by and others. It's also a rather large book. It has Q before the class number. These books are shelved separately at the end of each bay throughout the library. This is a typical periodical. We have some thousands of periodicals like these. These are entered by title wherever possible. The P before the class number indicates periodical. This is the class number, and this the running periodical number within that class number. These are the detailed holdings of this journal. Another work entered by title is the Australian Encyclopedia. This is kept in the reference section, from which there is no borrowing. This is the title page of a book issued by the National Education Association. It has no personal author and is catalogued under the full name of the association. This book about Cyprus in the UNESCO Art Series is also catalogued by the issuing body, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. It's also a very large volume. Such books are designated F for folio. They are kept flat in special shelves behind the catalogue on the southern side of the first floor of the library. This storage method helps to protect these large volumes, many of which are expensive, atlases, collections of art prints, etc., and also saves storage space. The library comprises the general collection and the reading collection, and a number of associated departmental libraries. This chemistry text by Quagliano is to be found in the general collection, with another copy in the reading collection. A copy of the second edition is in the general collection, and another copy of this second edition is in the chemistry department library. These few examples have shown some of the kinds of entries that may occur in the catalogue and some of the information about works and their location that's included on the catalogue card. Further examples and details and an explanation that can be studied at leisure can be found in the library guide mentioned earlier. The resources of reference shelves and the services offered at the reference desk merit some explanation. In this section of the reference collection, there are all the important encyclopedias: Collier's, Chambers, the Australian, Britannia, and others. The latest editions only are kept here, but earlier editions are frequently retained in store. Note these pull-out shelves, which are widely distributed throughout the stacks for ease in consulting books. Next to the encyclopedias are the bibliographies, monograph and periodical. These are compilations of references to books or articles on particular subjects, on or about particular authors, and are essential aids for all research investigation. On the other side of the reference works, the shelves contain works of ready reference in particular subjects, for example, yearbooks of states or professional associations. Here also are dictionaries for most important languages. There's also a small reference section of the reading collection containing past examination papers and a selection of dictionaries. The reference collection is particularly useful for the answering of specific inquiries. To take an example, in this quotation from Coleridge, what does silly mean? The New or Oxford English Dictionary in 13 volumes is the obvious authority to consult. It gives many meanings for silly, but specifies that of things it means plain, simple, rustic, homely, and by way of example cites this very quotation from Coleridge. Some further examples will help to demonstrate the variety of some reference books. Biographical information of this nature is frequently provided in Who's Who in Australia, or the similar volumes for Britain. Entries here are under the name of the person and are brief but factual, and the answer in this case is straightforward. For rather general information of this kind, an encyclopedia often has adequate details, or at least is a good starting point. In this case, the Australian Encyclopedia, which covers New Guinea as well, is a good prospect. This work has a separate index volume, and it's advisable to consult this first, as the information you need is not necessarily to be found in the section dealing specifically with your topic. Under Kokoda, the index in fact refers to two volumes, volumes 8, 6, and 9. In volume 6, there's information on the Kokoda Trail and the section on the Owen Stanley Ranges. In volume 9, further information in the section on World War II. And lastly, here's an example of a simple statistical inquiry. Frequently, this kind of information is issued in official yearbooks, in this case, the Yearbook of the Commonwealth of Australia. These are the stacks in the general collection. These books may be borrowed. Undergraduates are limited to 3 books at any one time, of which one may be a bound volume of periodical. If in doubt, the assistants at the issue desk will explain the procedure for borrowing a book. The book card, which is kept inside the book cover of every volume, must be filled in with the date and the name and address of the borrower. And a transaction card must also be completed. Transaction cards are yellow and are available at the issue desk and at the return benches on each floor of the general collection. It's better to fill in the book and transaction card at these benches before coming to the issue desk, as otherwise the exit from the library may become congested at the rush hour. When these cards have been completed, the transaction card is placed in the pocket in the back cover of the book, and the book card placed beside it. And the book is taken to the exit, where the assistant will check the book and the cards, and will stamp the transaction card with the date by which the work must be returned, normally at the end of term. The loan is then registered on a card kept under your name, so that any departure from the 3 books a reader limit can be seen. An immediate recall is sent out when this rule is broken, and an immediate overdue fine is exacted automatically after the first offence. This is a book card showing the class number, author, title, and accession number of the book. On this card, the borrower writes the date and his or her name and address in block letters, please. Onto the transaction card is transcribed the class number into this box, the accession number into this box, the heading, the part in capital letters, into this space, and then add your name. Of course, the book card should not be marked, as in this demonstration. Not all would-be borrowers can find the books they want on the shelves. It's always possible for books to get out of place, and if a particular title is not where it should be, it's advisable to search the shelves a little to either side. On occasion, the failure to find a book can be rather exasperating. When in difficulty, ask at the issue desk. In this situation, ask if the book is out on loan. The assistant will search the issue records, and if the card is there, will offer to recall it. If the book is to be recalled, a blue recall card is completed, giving details of the book wanted and the name and address of the person making the recall. This card will serve as a notification when the book has been returned. The assistant will then write out a notice recalling the book, and it will be mailed the same day. The issue records are refiled, including the recall card that has just been completed. On receipt of a recall notice, a borrower must return the wanted book within 3 days of the date of the notice, or incur a fine. Once the book is returned, the advice card is sent to the reader who requested the recall. In these circumstances, a recall book is usually available about 4 days after the recall was requested. The reader then brings the advice card to the issue desk, where recall books are held for up to 3 days, after which they are sent to the shelves if not claimed. In this case, yet another request has been received for the book while the initial recall was being made. This loan will therefore be restricted to 3 days. And the issue desk assistant will place a special green transaction card in the book. This card will be clearly marked 3 days, and the precise due date will be stamped on it by the issuing assistant at the exit. The library is one of the busiest parts of the university throughout term time, and frequently a planned or accidental meeting place for friends. In recognition of the part the library plays in the daily life of the university, areas for relaxation as well as study have been provided within the library building. Chief among these is the coffee lounge on the ground floor. This popular meeting place is to be found next to the periodical display area. Here, all new issues of periodicals are displayed for the fortnight after they've been received. Although undergraduates may not borrow these unbound parts of journals, there's no restriction on their use within the library. Many journals of general interest are to be found here, as well as those of a more technical nature. The coffee lounge itself is managed by the Guild of Undergraduates, but is subject to some necessary restrictions administered by the librarian. With another look at the fishes in the reflecting pool, we've come to the end of this rapid survey of the facilities and services available in the university library. But before we end, it may be helpful to sum up the main points. All returned loans should be posted in the appropriate slots in the entrance area. Correct posting helps the library staff to discharge loans and get the books back on the shelves in the shortest time. Remember especially that weekend loans from the reading collection must be back by 10 a.m. on the Monday or 6 p.m. for evening students, and should be returned to their special slots marked reserve. The main part of the library is the general collection, where there's the reference section on the entry floor, and there's also the newspaper reading area, where the daily papers from other states and a selection of British and some foreign papers may be read. In this area, the new books are also displayed for 1 week. These books may be reserved by completing one of the blue cards provided and leaving it at the issue desk. The catalogue is also near to the entrance to the general collection. If you are to make the best use of the library, you must learn how to use this key to the book and periodical literature available. In the reading collection, there are the books specifically intended for undergraduate coursework and the greater part of the available seating. On all floors, there's also some more relaxing chairs for casual reading or recuperation after a hard day. The quiet reader is always appreciated. The staff prefer to put away books themselves, but it helps if they're left at the various return benches. The issue desk is where loans are registered. When borrowing a book, there's a book card to be completed, which is kept by the library, and a transaction card which bears the details of the loan and is stamped with the due date. The library is open on weekdays from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. and on Saturdays until 12:30 p.m. Throughout these hours, the library staff is there to assist any reader who may seek their help.